Shall we?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, brother. Episode 3, I Think You Should Buy. We're in the studio once again. We're trying to record on something else to make the video a little clearer. I've been stumbling my way through the editing process, which is definitely not my strong suit, so bear with us, and hopefully they're giving us a little bit of grace, but hopefully this will be a little bit clearer, and we can...
Yeah, Kyle's been the real MVP. I've been slacking with Vincent.
Yeah, it's like...
He's been taking...
to have a kid or something.
Yeah.
So selfish.
So, don't go too hard on him, because he's actually been crushing it with the first couple of weeks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's been kind of a pain in the ass, but it's been kind of fun, too. Like, because I just know nothing about that realm, so kind of stumbling my way through it. I feel like it'll help out long term, and then...
Just learn as you go.
Yeah, and I've been just taking notes, everything, too, because I'm sure there's going to be times where, I'm busy and stuff like that, and when you got to do this stuff, so I've just been, writing processes out, and hopefully it'll be pretty easy.
I never do that, so it's a good thing you do, because I'm the type of person, I'm just going to learn real quick, and then I just
you have to
lose time, because I don't know how to do it.
You have to relearn it every time, so that's why I was trying to get ahead of it, but we'll see. So, we're going to do moving to a new state this week.
Yeah. Moving to a new state, it's relevant, obviously, both being from Washington, you lived in Hawaii for a year. You lived there longer for a year?
Yeah, like a year and a half or so. And then, now obviously down in Arizona just for a couple of months. I don't think that quite probably counts, but...
You can count it. We'll count it. I moved to Arizona from Washington after college. You moved to Hawaii after, a year or 2 years out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Planning on going back. It's funny, I was just talking to my dad. I think every time that I bring you up, he's like, yeah, is he in Hawaii? I'm like, yeah. He's going back, but I swear both my parents are always like, is he in Hawaii? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, pretty cool. We both just kind of took the jump and, ended up loving it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the fear of the unknown. We could have totally went the opposite way and, ended up back in Washington, which would have been just fine too, but we both ended up just kind of falling in love with where we moved to.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think we need to preface by saying, there's not a right or wrong decision on what you end up doing moving-wise. Me and Kyle both just decided that we wanted to change up our scenery. To be honest, I think you can agree, we both grew up in the same city, and we still love going back. But we wanted to talk about this more specifically because you can really apply it to a lot of things in life, whether it's making the jump with work, new life scenario like having a kid, moving out of state. It's just one of those things that we both have done. So let's talk about it, share our story, and hopefully you enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can kick it to you this week. We got some questions written down. We're super official now, so
yeah, we're locked in.
But yeah, I'll start. I guess with you. Obviously, it's kind of a scary thing. I mean, you kind of went full in when you did it. Kind of put all your chips on the table. So I guess what were the biggest challenges for you?
Biggest challenge number one was convincing Bree to move out of state to a guy she'd only been we'd been dating for probably 3 or 4 months. Yeah. So when we met in college, I already knew that I wanted to move to Arizona, and so had that conversation what are we? And I'm like, well, I want to date
classic,
you. Yeah, I'm like, I want to date you, but I also my plan is to move to Arizona after I graduate from college. Yeah. And if you don't want to do that, I do not want you to feel pressure to have to commit to that. And she was like, oh, I'm 100% in. So that worked out great. I was a broke college kid, so I think I moved down here with $500 in my savings account.
Yeah, it's so smart. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's the blueprint. Yeah. I totally I'm not gonna say blindsided Bree because she knew, but I always joke and say I just didn't tell her, and she just had no idea.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Bree graduated a year before me, so she had worked for a year and was able to save up some money, so that helped too. Because I was broke, I had no money, and so that was the number one challenge, was moving to a new state with no money. I know we talked about this already in a different episode, but didn't really have a stable job set up. I guess my mindset was I'm going to figure it out. I'm young, and I think that's something that you and I both have talked about and can agree on is if you just commit to something, you'll figure it out no matter what the scenario is, as long as you're going to commit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does 100%.
yeah.
Like,
So if you go in, if you're half-assed, like I think I'll make it work. Probably not
you
going to.
probably won't.
So
yeah, you kind of got to just commit and then just say, hey, like my option is to figure this out, or there's no plan B. You're gonna figure it out most likely, and that just cracks me up. I just imagine you like getting down here, like buying gas to get down here, and then you're like, all right, Bree, so like groceries on you.
Okay, that's actually what happened though, and it sounds bad. Like I'm kind of roasting myself, but like legitimately, we were eating our food like we weren't eating top ramen, but we were eating our like the first couple weeks our like lunch and dinner in our living room on the ground on a mattress topper because we didn't have a couch. And she's like, should probably get some furniture in my head. I'm like, yeah, we should, but like, I don't have any,
we should.
Yeah, like we should. You should buy it. So. Yeah, it was, looking back, it was so fun. Like they say, ignorance is bliss. Like to me, I mean, I was just like, we'll figure it out. So it was awesome just to go through that experience and then now be where we're at and have made it work. We have her parents live down here, hoping to get mine down. So honestly, the challenge was just making the jump, really. Mm-hmm. Like committing to being like, I'm going to do this and then actually following through, and we did it. Now we're here.
Yeah, and I think a big thing too is like a lot of times just thinking about the worst case scenario, and it's like, okay, worst case, we get down there, it doesn't go how we hope, we struggle, can't make it work, got to move back. It's like, okay, if that's the worst case scenario, you really break it down, like, okay, I can live with that.
Right.
So it makes taking the jump and taking the chance that much easier.
That helps so much, like in any scenario, not obviously just moving out of state, but like when you actually just sit down and say, okay, for me, if I'm getting anxious about something or I'm worried about what could come up over on a loan or with a friend, it's always just the first thing now I do is like, all right, what's the worst that can happen from this? And then it just allows me to relax a little more than stress myself out.
99% of the time, the worst case scenario isn't going to happen.
It's not that bad either.
Land somewhere in the middle of the best and the worst, but the actual worst rarely ever happens. But that helps so much, and that's kind of what we did too when we did it. It was just like, because it was scary, but we're like, I mean, what's the worst that happens? Okay, we end up back here in 6 months. Oh well.
Yeah.
So
we're the same spot you grew up in, which you already lived there for 20 plus years.
So, And we love it back there too. So
yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you, like, because you worked a couple years before you moved to Hawaii, like, what did you have similar run-ins as far as like challenges go, or was it pretty?
I would say we obviously had challenges too, but it was a little bit different because I was in a bit different spot. I was not quite as broke because I had been out of college and
rub it in, dude.
been able to save a little bit. But obviously, when I did graduate, I was just as broke, but was able to save up a little bit. So financially, it wasn't as scary in that sense, but it was scary in the sense that, okay, Hawaii is literally an island in the middle of the ocean.
No family.
It's also an island, and it's also a place that we didn't know one single person. We didn't have a family member, a friend, nothing. We had no idea. We literally went on vacation with my mom's family, and just had like such a fantastic week. It was just amazing. We were just waking up early, going on runs, walking to the coffee shop. It was just amazing. And I worked a few days when I was there remote because I was busy at the time and had a few loans in the pipe and stuff. So, and I was working, and then so we get home, and it was like maybe February in Washington, so it was just
the worst time.
It was just like get dark all day, rainy, and we were like sitting there. It was like a week after we got back, and we just like looked at each other. Like the vacation kind of depression when you get back.
Yeah.
You're just like, I just had this big dump of like happiness, and then you get back and you're like, shoot, like this. We were like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But it was right. I mean, it was mid-COVID. We were both completely remote, and like it's dawned on us. They were like, wait, then why are we here? Like, if we feel this way, like we could theoretically just go back.
Yeah,
I was already working when we were on vacation. That worked just fine because there's a little time difference too. We're depending on the time of the year, 2 to 3 hours before. So my hours are a little bit different. I got to wake up at 5 a.m. or so, start working, and then I log off around 2 because that's 5 p.m. Pacific time, and this is where most of my clients are. But I'd already done that on vacation. I was like, I can totally do that, and I honestly like waking up early anyway now. And if I could log off at 2 and you're on
Yeah.
Maui, that's like prime. You got like that's prime beach hours. So we literally like got back from vacay, and within probably 2 or 3 months, we had moved back. We just put all of our stuff we put like 2 suitcases each, put all of our clothes in it, put everything else in a storage locker. Storage locker, shout out Nana and my other grandparents they let us keep our cars there, and then the other one let us store some of their stuff. And just fit everything we could in a couple suitcases. I would say the challenges for us, we had to find a car because we couldn't drive there. Obviously, you can't drive across
Why?
you can't drive across the ocean. But so we literally bought this just absolute beater, like Honda Civic, like paint chipping, floral seat covers, and like we just fully embraced it. Like this is our little Maui cruiser, and we loved it. And so I think we got it for like $5,000, which is like.
Wait, so you actually bought it?
Yeah, we literally just bought it. And we were like, well, we're not going to ship our car. It took a few grand to do that. We bought a crappy little car, and then when we moved back, I ended up selling it, and we like essentially broke even on the thing. So it was more logistical things like that. Like, all right, now we have to find out a car. We have to find a place. Obviously, you need to move into a place sight unseen because.
Did you do most of the heavy lifting, or did Jazz, or was it kind of a tag team? The only reason I'm asking is because like that's where I fall so short.
Yeah.
And so like that's why I married up with Brie, because she thinks of all that stuff. Like
yeah.
I would have got, if I was you in that scenario, I would have gotten Hawaii and been like, I don't have anything. So that's why I'm curious.
I would say it's pretty split. Jasmine's really good about that stuff too, especially with planning. Like, she's gonna listen to this and be like, "Shut up, dude!" Like, it was probably more her. But it was like fairly even in the fact of like I had like finding the place and stuff like that. But she's same thing with it when it comes to planning and actually making sure that the plans are on the calendar and that we know what's going on. She's like the best at that, and I suck at it too. But we were pretty split in like the actual like day-to-day stuff and like finding a place, making sure we're calling, getting our security, and that was like a thing too. It's like, all right, we got to trust this person, send over some money, make sure they're not going to screw us. And then we got there, dude. All of the lights, like the electrical, wasn't.
I remember you telling me
wasn't working. We open up the fridge, and it's just full of like mold and like.
That's like the Hawaiian greeting though in their country. I almost said their country. Yeah. In their state, that's how they greet mainlanders.
Yeah, dude, it was such a treat. And so we get there. And on top of this, we get there. We tell our Uber driver like, "Hey, can we stop?" Because we didn't have a car. We knew we wouldn't have a car for probably a week or so because we had to go find one to buy one. Didn't have a car. We had an Uber full of groceries. Did like a Costco Safeway run. So we have all these groceries, all of our stuff. We wheel it in the heat. Get there, open our door. Nothing's working. No AC, no power, and then the fridge isn't working. So all of our groceries just go to shit. And so
was the landlord like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry"?
They were. They.
Well, I guess probably not if that's their greeting in Hawaii. Is like they stock the fridge up, make it smell.
So that's kind of what we were dealing with, and
so that's your biggest challenge for sure.
Was just
moving in.
Like that honestly was one, but it all comes back to like worst case scenario, right? Like a lot of stuff that we weren't expecting for and like that was not ideal did happen. Okay, you get through it. You put your head down. You get through it. They put us in a hotel for a day or two and then they apologized. Got the place cleaned, whatever. It still wasn't great. Like we kind of had to get on the hands and knees and do a deep clean ourselves. Whatever, we made it work. We put our head down, made it work, and then a week later we had a car. Power was on, everything was on, and we were good to go, and life was great. So, I think that's like a good lesson right there. Is like a lot of the stuff did go wrong, and we just dealt with it. Have a good attitude, and you're gonna figure it out. And then it ended up like just like you guys, we ended up just falling in love, and now that's where we want to raise our kids and live. So, those were the biggest things for us. Were just like the logistics, and stuff like that, which were kind of a nightmare. But
I remember you telling me that story about when you got there.
Yeah, it was quite the sight, especially just the smell. You open up the fridge and then the whole place.
Yeah, I'm sure you could smell it as soon as you walked into the place. Right?
Smelly, yeah. It was wild. We already kind of talked about this. If we knew anyone or at least I did. Did you guys know many people down here?
No, and we can kind of segue that into work, but it's funny because, well, you know, like we had a couple buddies that moved down here when we were in college.
Yeah.
And so Austin Juarez had lived in Arizona when
shout out.
Yeah, when I was planning on coming down, and so me and Bree visited him probably like 6 or 8 months before he actually moved down. He was really the only person that I knew that would got away to hang out with. And if I'm forgetting somebody, I'm sorry in advance. I don't remember. But and then Austin, of course, decided to move like after we were here. But long story short, no, we didn't know anyone. And as much as like it was weird, looking back, it was great because it forced us to meet new people.
Yeah.
Get out of our comfort zone. We got super lucky. The apartment we ended up living at, we met like 3 young couples.
Yeah.
Which, where it was at, in North Scottsdale, there's not a ton of, not a younger crowd up there.
Yeah,
so the fact that we met like 3 young couples in the first couple months was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was like one of my goals. It was kind of similar to we go back to like college and talking about when we went to school, we both were in fraternities. Like that was another thing that we wanted to do was like, we're so close and we grew up together. We were like, we're going to hang out and stay in touch no matter what. We should join. We ended up being in different fraternities because we wanted to branch out.
We kind of intentionally did that. I know with a lot of the people that went to Wazoo, we were like, we kind of want to go do our own things. We'll still have each other. That'll force us to make a bunch of new friends.
And you and I are still best friends. And
well, best. I don't know about that. But
I kind of jumped the gun on that a little bit.
Yeah, we might have to cut this.
Yeah, so it was the same. I had like the same like mindset moving to Arizona. Where I'm like, everyone that I grew up with, went to college with, we're gonna keep in touch. And now like you're down here. I have some friends that were in my fraternity at WSU that ended up living here now. So
now I feel like we know a ton of people down here. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we really looked at it like we're gonna go do our own thing. We already touched on it, but we're gonna go figure it out. If it doesn't work, we move home and we'll have everyone there. But with work, and I'm sure you can. Well, I don't know. It's probably a little different for you in Hawaii because you're not necessarily, and maybe you are. I don't know if we've talked about that before, but going out and networking actively in Hawaii when you were living there. But for me, being in the industry we're in, a lot of it is networking. Yeah. Right. And so that was a big struggle for me, especially jumping to a state where I knew nobody. Was like, it was a struggle and cool because I gotta go out and be like, I'm gonna go find people that I want to work with. Yeah. Or know nothing about me, and I gotta go sell myself. So
yeah, honestly, in the like with business and personal, I feel like okay, if you want to meet people, there's only one way to do it. You kind of got to put yourself out there. Yeah. And it's like the same thing with Hawaii, which I kind of kicked myself going back. Like I would go to open houses and go and try and meet agents and stuff like that. But not as much as I should have been. And I kick myself now because now, like, we're planning to go back here fairly soon and stuff. I'm like, I could have done so much more when I was there. But when we go back, I really want to double down on that. But, like, the smartest thing that I accidentally did was we were already just so out of our comfort zone. Moving to a new place, I forgot to mention, too, this is me and Jasmine's first time ever living with, like, a partner. So we were like... Yeah. We're going to a brand new place, we know nobody, and our first time moving in. I was thinking about so much else that it wasn't until, like, when we got there, and I told her this, that, like, I was like, oh, like, we're moving in together, too. Like,
that's so funny, because Bree and I were the same way, though.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, we're going to live together.
Yeah, and it worked out great. And we were just in a, like, little one-bedroom condo. That's
really get to know each
other. Yeah, like, probably the size of the room that we're in right now. But, yeah, it's a great way. It's kind of trial by fire. You get thrown right in. But back to what I was saying, though, don't want to go on a big tangent here, but already so out of our comfort zone. So Jasmine joins like an all-women's like workout class, and I joined jiu-jitsu. We talked about this last time. I was a wrestler growing up, go to college. There's not really like adult wrestling. So it's like the next best thing. So I was like kind of nervous to do that. I'm like, I'm literally in a new place, don't know anybody. I'm just going to go and just like roll around and get sweaty with a bunch of people.
There's not a better way to try to meet people than doing that. Dude, I promise you. If you're wondering how you want to go meet new people, just
go roll around on a mat with sweaty man.
Get all sweaty and...
But dude, like, it's a joke, like, but in all seriously, it's like such like an intimate setting.
Oh yeah, like, I actually believe it.
Literally, like, just beating the crap out of each other for a couple hours a day, like, it forces you to, like, within a couple weeks, like, I was like, all right, well, here's 20 to 30 people that I'm seeing every day in a pretty intimate setting, like, to where I just, like, my gym in Maui now is, like, one of the main reasons I want to go back. Like, just such a solid group of people, and created, like, so many, like, friendships there that, like,
not best friends, though. Like, when you met there.
No one's ever going to replace you, but, and then my buddy Keena there, too, like, just made so many friends, and it's literally just by putting ourselves out there, like, forcing myself to, like, all right, I'm going to go. I was super nervous, but just went to the gym, just forced myself to go, and then forced myself to show up again and again until that happened. And Jasmine, same thing, and she still keeps in touch with all those girls, and, you know, now Keena's going to be in my wedding and stuff like that, too. It's, like you said, it's just, like, putting yourself out there. Like, life's too short to be like, oh, I wish I would have done that, I wish I would have done that. Just, like, I feel like, once again, what's the worst case scenario? Okay, then just give it a shot. Like,
yeah.
And we're just so thankful that
I feel like it's you, at least what I used to do is you think so much about it and you talk yourself out of it.
Yeah. Because there's a million reasons not to do it. There is.
Yeah.
But you gotta sometimes just gotta shut yourself up and be like,
well, yeah, and if you don't go, then you look back and you're like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I went. And then at least if you do go and it went horrible, you're like, oh, I was right. At least I can be like, oh, I was right. Well, now I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
I heard this quote. I'm going to butcher it. I can't remember what it was, but it was along the lines of, like, most people that are super successful did the same thing as the person that's not successful. They just did it 50 more times, and you tried it once.
Yeah.
And they failed so many times over and over again, so they learned all these lessons along the way. So I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent. Not philosophical, but
no, I love that too. And, like, to take that another way as well, like, maybe you needed to try 50 things and the first 49 weren't what you needed, but you wouldn't know that unless you just keep taking the chance. And then the 50th thing, you're like, oh, this is actually it.
Yeah.
Like, that business idea, or, you know, that thing you wanted to try, or that person you wanted to ask out or whatever, like, you know, it takes reps. And then, you know, if you only take one, then your sample size is 1. If you take 50, your sample size is 50.
Yeah.
And not to, once again, like, get preachy or whatever too, but, like, something that's always stuck with me is, like, a quote that it's, like, not even a quote, I think it's, like, a study or whatever, but it's, like, of asking elderly people, like, basically on their deathbed, like, what their biggest regret is, and it was always, you know, the chance, or they wish they would have done that, or would have done that, or, you know, not taken the chances, or their regret is always the things that they didn't do. So at least if you're doing them and trying them, you don't have that regret. I just don't want to be like, okay, it's my last breath, I have all these regrets of the things I would rather try and fail.
A lot of what ifs.
Yeah, at least, you know, trying and failing to me is, like, a million times better than not trying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I think the more that, like, I think naturally everyone spends a lot more time on social media, and just generally speaking, I think everyone is always so quick to poke fun or point out people's flaws, which stops people from wanting to try, because everyone's first thought is perception. Like, how are people going to, I don't know how to talk, dude. How are people going to perceive what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And then you immediately like, oh, am I going to look dumb, or is this going to be embarrassing? So yeah.
I like the turn that we went. We were, like, getting, like, deep on this.
Yeah, dude.
But dude, like, in all reality, that's, like, one of the biggest things I got. You know, 7 younger siblings. That's, like, one of the biggest things I tell them is, like, seeing them, like, worry about stuff, like, what should I do here or there? It's like, it seems like people care and people are going to judge you and stuff like that. 90% of them won't. They're so busy with their own stuff that they don't even have time.
They're thinking about the same thing that you're thinking about you, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, well, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Or they're so busy that they don't even have time to think about you, because we're all so busy in our lives.
Yeah.
And second, even if they do, and they do judge you for it, who cares? Because if they are, then that's probably someone that you shouldn't probably really care that much anyway, because they're probably not that good of a friend if they are judging.
Yeah, exactly.
And B, life's too short. We're all going to be here for 60 to 80 years if we're lucky, and then we're going to die, and then time's going to keep, not to get too morbid, but
this is what we need today on the pod, is just going deep, dude.
But realistically, time's going to keep going. So if you're living your life for what everybody else is going to think, then you're going to be the person on your deathbed regretting that other stuff.
I can agree more. It all ties back indirectly I mean, a little deeper than the original subject we're talking about, but making the jump, moving out of state, and just like trying new things.
Yeah.
Again, not for everybody. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to do it either way, but you and I have just been lucky enough. We rolled the dice and everything's worked out. And
yeah, absolutely. And there's obviously been several challenges along the way for both of us, more than we can count. But it's totally worth it. And like you said too, I think it's super important. Like, you don't need to move to a new place. Like, this is just an idea. I think it was like more of a concept, and then, like the conversation showed, you apply it to just everything in life. Like, you're staying in your hometown could be the best thing ever, and that there's no right or wrong way with that. It's more the concept for me, and why I wanted to talk about it is just saying yes to stuff, trying new stuff. Like, it could be like, I've been wanting to join a kickball league forever, but I'm too scared to do it or whatever. Like, it could be anything.
Your references are out of control.
I'm just dialed.
The kickball league is something that we've talked about wanting to start up.
I secretly brought that up because I've been.
You're trying to like slowly just like mix it into combos. You're like, we should. I've always wanted to like start up a kickball league.
It's gonna be like episode 100. I'm gonna be like, so like the kickball league.
Yeah, you're just still mixing it in. You're like. Yeah, it's like starting up a kickball league, and then you just slowly
it'll become like, I think you should kickball.
Yeah,
like that's
dude. I think that's something we should look into.
We might have to.
So, yeah, honestly, I hope you guys are watching. Got a little motivation from this because that's really the main goal, is right? Just motivating.
It's just basically a motivational podcast. We're just going to be talking about like your biggest regrets on your deathbed. Taking chances, like, basically. Yeah,
I mean, in all seriousness, I enjoyed it. I feel like
it's a good talk. And I always like, we need to preface this too because I listen to these back on Spotify. We're two of probably the most like sarcastic people in the world, and just a lot of the stuff we say is just dumb, and we're just joking around. So keep that in mind with a lot of the stuff we're saying. We're being sarcastic.
Well, especially if you're listening and you're not watching the video.
Yeah, because you and I read the faces.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you and I talk. Our tone of voice doesn't change when we're being sarcastic, and so if you're listening and you're like, I can't tell. Like, if you think we're joking or being sarcastic, we definitely are.
Yeah, for sure. Should we wrap it up and hit the
where are we at? Are we getting close?
I have no idea. I didn't look at the time, but I'm sure we are. Do the buy and the sell of the week. Which, once again, I didn't think of mine, so I'm going to have to come up on
my sell is the iPhone. Dude, I feel like I have to get a new iPhone like every 2 to 3 years. Maybe that's the new normal.
I feel like it.
I don't think that's how it should be. I was rocking the chocolate for like 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Back in middle school, all the way up to high school. Then I got to graduate to an iPhone. But I don't know. It just pisses me off.
They know what they're doing over there.
Yeah, it's not cool. That's my sell. Are we doing both at the same time, or you want to do your sell and then?
I can go sell, and then we'll end on a positive note with the buys. You saying that made me think to more technical difficulties. My sell of the week is figuring out all this editing and podcast stuff, and with the people I've been like trying to get on. This is what it is actually: technical support for a company where it's just robots and bots. Like, give me a freaking person on the phone that can say, "Hey, this is my problem," and they say, "Hey, okay, I'm listening, let's solve it," rather than a different answer from either an AI chatbot or I'm getting a different person every day. Like,
it feels like that's
maybe it's this. Like,
every big company now. Like, it's not, because what is it, Riverside?
Yeah.
We're not talking about like AT&T or, I'm trying to think of another big company, Target. Yeah. Every single big company now, if you need information, you have to go through an automated thing for 5 minutes before you can actually get to somebody on the phone.
So that's my sell of the week, is all this just AI chatbots and robots, like where you have to press a million things to talk to a person. They don't even have an option to talk to a person.
Dude, that sentence was so boomerish. All these AI chatbot, robot, Insta Facebook.
Dude, it's just so true. It's been driving me nuts, and I like went full. I mean, this is Karen for me. Like yesterday, I was just like, am I going to get one email a day from a different person, or can I actually talk to someone, or do I need to go like look for a different editing?
And they just responded to, did you say person, or it's like you're still?
I haven't even looked yet because they get back to me like once every 48 hours. I'm like, it's such a simple question that I'm asking, but so that's my sell of the week, bro. It's been driving me nuts.
But before I go into my buy, can we talk about the mac and cheese that we talked about on the last episode? Because
Yes.
you were trying to roast me
Controversial.
on gas station mac and cheese, and little did you know it was probably. I'm gonna say it was in your top 5. I'll let you speak on it, but I do think it's worth noting for the fans.
Yeah. So if you listened to last week's episode 2, his buy of the week, which once again, our buy and sell of the week. A buy is something you're stoked on. A sell is something that you're not stoked on, essentially.
If you didn't know that already, then you guys got
to catch up. This is episode 3. So, but his buy of last week was gas station mac and cheese at this place down the street from here, and so I think rightfully so. I roasted him because that's a hot take. He did take me right after.
His hot takes.
We took little Vincent as well. We had kind of
I'm calling him Vincenzo. We might do a legal name change to Vincenzo. His legal name's Vincent. Bree was high on Vincenzo, and I said no, and now I'm kind of kicking myself.
You might need to make that happen.
Yeah. Sorry, give him the review. I keep interrupting.
Anyways, gas station mac and cheese. I take my words back. It hit,
you're gonna eat your words.
It hit different.
And the mac.
Yeah. No. It was spicy.
Rating?
I had to say one thing, and it was yes, chef.
Yeah, it was a yes, chef.
Yeah.
That was, dude. I'm telling you, if you haven't tried it yet, you got to go to the Thumb. They have.
Yeah, guys, drive or wherever you're listening from, come to Arizona just for gas.
For the gas station mac, you will not be disappointed. On that note, my buy is this is not. We're going off topic, but it's the Drake and Kendrick beef. It's just like it's what we've needed. I'm a big hip hop fan, and dude, it's getting spicy. Things are getting spicy. It's been entertaining to listen to. Kendrick dropped a response after 3 weeks. This guy thinks that Kendrick's up. I disagree, but it's nice to get a little break in between work, is just to follow along on this rap beef. And so Drake should be dropping. It's a Friday today. It didn't drop last night, but that's my buy is rap beef.
Yeah, this is what everybody's tuning in for. Like, they're just like, please, 2 white guys talking about.
Yeah, like, why have they not talked about Drake and Kendrick? And here it is. It's what you asked for.
I agree though, but Kendrick's just goes on a different level. I like both of them though. For anyone that cares, which is nobody, but my buy of the week, once again, I suck. I'm not doing these or like beforehand, which I should be, but I'm gonna do running, which I it's so basic, and I don't
it's
even.
Just like, you keep going.
Yeah. First of all, we need to wrap this up so we can go hit a couple miler before you got to go back home, but. I don't know, I've just been getting back into it, and especially like in Maui and here, it's so nice because you're getting some vitamin D, getting a little tan while you're doing it, and it's hot, so it's a little harder, it gets the heart rate going, but I have such a love-hate relationship. I don't like running, I actually kind of hate it, but the feeling after, and then I got like the cold pool here, so I'll run and then go stretch and do some stretches in the pool after, and I've just been feeling so dialed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think anyone. Well, I shouldn't say anybody, but I feel like most people don't love.
There's
running.
Some freaks out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say some people do. I'm the same way. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, that was so nice, and the act of actually running, I enjoy it. Other times I'm like, it's the last thing I want to do. The last 30 days I've been trying to do a mile a day. Some mornings I just like it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
You have to like. I think you do this too. Like I'll mix in like. I have to think like, oh, I can't wait to listen to these 3 songs in my run, or I'll listen to this audiobook while I'm running. So, and the act too after the feeling is.
Yeah. Dude, I try. I'll be running, I'll be getting some sun, and be listening to an audiobook. Like I'm doing like 3 of my things I'm trying to incorporate at once, and then like 1 minute in, I'm like, I cannot run to an audiobook.
Don't want to do
bro.
this.
I cannot run to an audiobook. I need some just like. Yeah. BS, just rap music or something to like hype me up.
You need some Kendrick.
I'm trying to run to a guy like, and then like, they drove down the road or whatever.
Dude,
like,
I was just telling Nate, he's the one that got me on Audible.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Some of the readers on that are horrible. Where I'm like, it feels like they purposely choose guys that have the most monotone voices. I'm not saying I have a great voice either. I feel like I hate listening to myself speak. I know you've told me in the past, like, you love my voice. No. Sorry. But you know what I mean? Like, it's... I I feel the same way. I still try, but
It's
tough. It's a tough.
I'll listen to audiobooks and stuff still all the time, but not while I'm running. That's a no-no for me. But that's why we got to get you over to Spotify, because they have like
I want to do it.
all the audiobooks for free on Spotify now, so you don't need Audible. But that's a talk for another day.
Yeah,
Episode 3, we're done.
Thanks.
And yeah, dude.
Hey, if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, comment down below. Give us some feedback. Give us some other ideas or concepts you want to hear, because the reality is we're here for you. We're trying to pleasure your experience with I Think You Should Buy, and
Pleasure your experience, bro. Chill. 100%.
You know why we're here.
We got our first YouTube subscriber.
We did?
Let's go. Yeah, and we haven't even officially dropped it.
If you are, we'll let you know.
I think it's one of my parents, but we'll still take it.
Our first subscriber, you're going to get a gift in the mail. We'll announce the subscriber next week on the episode, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely. Let's go. Really quickly before I forget, let's